Are you an executive wondering how you can keep your drivers healthy on the road? On this episode of Driven Too Far, we're joined by Bob Perry, who's going to give us tips on wellness programs. Hello, I'm Andrew Winkler, and this is Driven Too Far, the truth about trucking, a podcast that helps over-the-road truck drivers balance career and family. I know we've got some safety professionals out there that listen to the podcast. Do the wellness programs, do they really work? Or what's the story behind it? If I run a trucking company, is it worth my time and money to invest in a wellness program?
Well, I just working with the researchers at the Virginia Tech Institute that does this, and I just got a report that I'll be putting up and talking about on my podcast as well, where they worked with some volunteer carriers talking about this, of putting the program into effect. Is there really a return on investment in there, and why did you do it? Why, and if you did it and it didn't work, what happened? But for the most part, it's like everything else, Andrew. It always starts at the top, right? If people really get behind it, instead of it's something that got assigned to a person. Yes. You know what? I think we need a wellness program. You over there, go find us one, put it into effect, and then it's lost. And all of a sudden, the bean counters are sitting around and go, "What's this? 20 grand we're spending last month on wellness. What are we getting?" And so it's got to be managed, and it's got to be gauged. There's got to be ways of getting engagement, and the ones that work are the ones of the companies that get behind it. And I was just had an insurance broker call me yesterday that wants to make the scanner available for her trucking clients, and she said because she has a hard time of convincing them to invest in wellness because of the term. They're afraid that they're going to get them in, work with them, and then they leave. So that's always the most difficult part. But what you also have to remember is that you need to take care of those non-driver population as well. So you've got them in an environment where they're there, and you have contests, or you have promotional ways of keeping them engaged, because you've got them there under your roof, and it's about getting them involved, the ones who want to. And I'm not talking about putting on marathons and those kind of things. Just simple, the basic stuff. People like to get involved in weight loss competitions or just anything, staying hydrated, those kinds of things. So, but they are very difficult. But they only last as long as the upper management has a temperament to see them through, because you won't see it right away. The first thing they think about is they're going to save healthcare costs. Well, the problem in transportation, the turnover is so high, nobody sticks around long enough to see the downturn, right? What it does for them on that aspect of it. So it's got to be, and the way I always talk to them about how you measure it is, and one of the things that I was going to talk about is that, I follow the numbers, and this is one of the things I'll be talking about on my podcast, is I got the current numbers from FMCSA, and unfortunately, about 55% of our drivers out there today operate on a 1-year card or less.
Wow, and I did not know that.
So some homework for you to do, my friend, is find out who's your TPA internally, who has those numbers, because it's amazing companies don't follow that, and say, I like to get a quick read on whatever number of drivers you have, 205 or whatever it is, and be curious for you to go look and see how many of them are on short-term cards and when they're coming up, and what you could do to support them. And that's where the return is if I can help you, say you've got I don't know, pick the number, 50 drivers, and they're all coming up for recertification in 90 days. And if they got a 1-year card, that means if they fail, they're going to drop down. And coaching them and making sure they can maintain that 1-year card, that saves you $6,000, right? Or whatever your number is to put somebody in the seat. So that's where the return is on the driver population side for putting a wellness program into effect. And so I had the University of Alabama at Birmingham did a research project on a program I put into play, and it's actually going to be published and written, and I'll make sure you get a copy of it if you like, that shows the positive cause and effect for a few $100s if you coach a driver up, because we don't do that with them in going to school, right? We don't teach them those mechanics of how to take care of themselves and live healthy on the road.
I love that idea of going to see who's got the limited medical cards. I had never really thought of that, but those are exactly some of the people that you should be working with and investing in. And I know coming up through trucking, it is like you said, it's always what's the ROI on everything. And that's how we were kind of conditioned in leadership to think about business. But as a company where I'm at, we focus so much on culture and doing the right things for people and the right things for driver. Some of that you simply can't measure, or it's going to be extremely difficult to measure some of that. So sometimes you got to do the right thing for people.
Yeah, it is because, and I don't know if you're living in Nebraska, I would think you're somewhat of a football fan, but
yeah.
But if not, you'll get the concept. So it's like if you go to the CDC site, Andrew, and you look up long haul drivers, the CD says it's one of the most unhealthy professions you can get involved in, right? Because the environment, travel, all the things that we've been discussing. So it's like in the NFL, and in college, all of them, they've tightened up the concussion protocols, right? Because of what's happened. And so in those kind of environment, players want to play and drivers want to drive, right?
Yes.
And so sometimes when you hire people and they're working in an environment that could be detrimental to their health, you have to help protect them from themselves.
Yes.
Because when you're a driver, that's what you know how to do. And if you don't drive, you don't make money and you don't take care of your family. And you're going to push it as hard as you can.
So throughout my career, I've had the chance to travel quite a bit and even tour some facilities of larger carriers. I've always worked for smaller family-owned type carriers and stuff, but I've gone to one where they've got great workout rooms. They've got full-size gyms where you can play pickup game of basketball and do a lot of these things. So I see the carriers investing, the large ones investing in some of those things. But what do you do if you're a smaller carrier? What are some ideas you think about these owners of the small truck lines? How can they help their drivers?
Another good one, because you're right. The big ones, they put them in, and it looks like going into an athletic dormitory, right?
Yeah, like you're going into the YMCA or something.
Right, it's great. But for the smaller ones, it's hard. They don't have that kind of wherewithal to do it. So there's certain things that you can do to really help invest in that. One is a company I work with. It's called HealthBot, and they have these self-administrated health check stations that you could put in the area there just for drivers to utilize. Once again, it's private, just driver awareness. You can reach out. There's a lot of organizations that will come on site and do screenings, with you for the drivers. Reach out to your healthcare company. Most healthcare companies have plugged in some wellness dollars that you can utilize, and to be able to use that to put on some screenings, some health fairs. The big thing is what they can do is, because they can do this because they're a smaller company, the vending is horrific in all the terminals. I mean, you have to really scour down to the bottom. Oh, there's water, right? It's all the crap on top, because that's where they're positioned for. And because I went in and tried to get that initiative going, and they're going, well, and it gets upstairs to bean counter and say, hey, Bob, we got 120 terminals. This is what we get. I'm graded on that. I can't let that go out the window because people aren't going to buy, all that. So, but you can get a machine in there that gives those drivers, and just, give them education. And the biggest thing is they can do, and I'll be glad you can reach out to me if you like. I've got, like I said, content things that they can do at orientation to give drivers this information, in the break room, posters to give the education. But there are some simple things they can do that doesn't break the bank. And the big thing is that they can invest in giving them rewards, right? Hey, Andrew, you got your DOT coming up. You come back here with that 1-year card, I'm gonna give you $500 gift card. When you're 90 days out, you start working with them, and there's the carrot, right? You come back with that 1-year card, it's $500. That's nothing to sneeze at.
Right.
But it's cheaper than paying 6 or 7 to put Bob in the seat, who you know nothing about, and how long is he going to stay.
Right. And sometimes as leaders, we think about, oh man, $500, that's a lot to invest. But what you're not thinking of is, what's the cost of that empty seat? when he's not with you anymore, right? And it's a heck of a lot more than $500. And like I said, I'd rather give it to somebody that I know, invest in our own people and, in their own health.
Well, it's what I say all the time, take care of the driver today before you hire the next unknown driver for tomorrow, because you don't know what you're getting, right? And you said it there, and that's the hard. When I'm talking to the companies, and I tell them, okay, if not 5 or 2 for something to incentivize, let them know that you really care about them, and there's an initiative. You're just not trying to, hey, well, Bob, they took the DOT, that's their responsibility. Well, yes, I get that. We're all responsible for our health. But at the same time, you want that people to develop some loyalty to you and say, well, they really care about me. Here's my incentive. They do incentives for if you reach certain marks on your healthcare tests and so forth. So why not this? You pass your DOT and you stay where you're at. It's worth $500. I mean, that's quite a nice incentive. And if somebody's on a 1-year card and every year they do that and they keep that 1-year card, that's a nice little extra bonus they get. That they can count on doing all they have to do to get that is what? Take care of themselves.
Yep. Focus on themselves. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's for them.
So you talked about that as an incentive for the driver. I'd like to know, I'm sure, as many companies as you've worked with over the years, you've probably seen some really great ideas or some aha moments with companies setting up a health and wellness program. Could you share anything there where, maybe some company just kind of like, wow, that was a really great idea or, incentive they came up with?
Yes. So the big thing is when they're recruiting them, and this also helps with their recruitment. This is what I call real recruitment and retention. If you're recruiting them and they're coming in, and you let them know that ABC Freight is a really a health-minded company, and here's some of the things we've done. When you come through our terminals, you come here. There's going to be a vending machine and this is a company that I went to, and they already had a lot of these initiatives going. And I thought, wow, these people are on the right path. But when they were recruiting, they told them that they were health-minded and they really did care about them health. They just talked about it. So they have health-minded vending machines. When they come through the terminals, they always have out, whether it be, they have fresh fruit, nuts, and so forth for them to have. They don't put out junk. Then they also at orientation, they give could be a 20-minute or 30-minute, where they have someone like myself come in or do a Zoom or whatever and give them information. And then before they come, and all terminals do this differently, as you probably know. Some companies will send them out to get their DOT before they come, right? Mm-hmm. Some bring them on site because they want them to see their doc. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Right.
So what I came up with, and these companies utilized it, and it was very powerful, is that they send them these orientation tips. I can't tell you, Andrew, how many drivers I've worked with that they would be there waiting to do their DOT at the terminal, and I see them out back and they're smoking. And I'd say, what are you doing? And they go, well, I'm trying to relax, calm down. I said, you don't realize that smoking elevates your blood pressure. You're working against yourself. And also terminals, when they come in for orientation, what are you feeding them for their lunches? Make better choices and not give them a coupon to the all-you-can-eat Hunan buffet across the street, all sodium, right? And come back in, and you're wondering why they can't back. But the ones that really opened up my eyes to do it, there's simple little changes like that. And it's part of, like you said, it's changing the culture, because when I first go talk to some company and said, here's a company that's really making some really remarkable changes, and you talk to that group and everybody's graded on their department and their job, what they're supposed to do, right? And they're afraid that they're going to get these driver surveys back that they didn't like it because it wasn't food friendly for them, right? It wasn't comfort food. And so, making those, it's the culture change. It really is, but it shows that they really do care about them. And you got it. And the ones also too, is one more I'll leave you with as well, is that this one company, they spend a lot of time and effort touching the spouse at home or the partner at home, letting them know what they're doing to help them, their partner out there on the road. And if it's their birthday, they send them, flowers or some kind of little momentum gift, but they let them know what they're doing to protect that loved ones, to get them home safe to see their family.
I love that idea. As carriers, I've always said the pay across the industry is pretty much the same, whatever job you go to. So we're always looking for differentiators as a company. What makes us different? What makes us better? And there you go. There's a couple ideas right there. Reaching out to the spouse and just letting the driver know you're really investing in them and taking care of their health.
And one of the other things I used to monitor all the time is I tell the coaches, tell me what 1, 2, and 3 is that really winds that driver's watch the wrong way. They really get upset with, right? Number 1 was always at the top. They got in a fight with their dispatcher. Number 2 is they got the distress call from home. Johnny got kicked out of school. The basement's flooded. I need $200 right now. And number 3 is a 4-wheeler cut them off. And one of the reasons why I feel like getting that partnership support from home is we know our drivers are being poached every day, all day, right? And we know in life, whether you're a driver or whatever job, it's never perfect, right, Andrew? I mean, there's things that go wrong and you get frustrated, you get upset, and you start thinking about making emotional decisions. And if they have that partner to share with and the company is touching that partner home and really getting their loyalty that you're doing all you can to take care of them, protect them, and help them, they'll say, well, just take a breath, calm down, and this may not be as bad as you think. And the other thing is that I find very, very useful in this space, and most companies have it in their medical plan, but they don't do a very good job. They don't do a good job at all promoting it, is employee assistance programs. And within that employee assistance program, you need to make it aware to the drivers. This is not, don't worry about this, is not worried about people knowing that you're sitting on the couch and you're on the cliff or whatever. This is, if you're out there and you're frustrated, having a bad day, here's somebody you can reach out and talk to anonymously and talk to and just clear your head and help you from making a good decision, not a bad decision.
Yeah, I think they probably get announced one time in orientation that we have these EAP programs, and that's probably the last you hear about them. But
it is.
You're right. We could do a much better job promoting that and making sure our people are using those effectively.
Yeah, and because life's got bumps, and just like we saw through the pandemic, right, of it going on. And that's why it's important to make sure those programs are available.
Hey, this has been a fantastic conversation today. I so appreciate you being on with us. If we've got executives out there or even drivers interested in finding out more about Bob Perry, where can they find you? Do you have a website?
Yeah, you can go to fitdrivers.com, or you can email me at bob@fitdrivers.com. Reach out, but I'm always very willing and interested to whatever I can do to help. Now, what I've changed my working model to is that because a lot of companies said they have heartburn about investing so much dollars. Well, I have a lot of information that I've already collected over the years. It's driver-centric, driver-delivered, posted, and I can help them with that on a very cost-effective way. They can do that. And most time they don't have the resources, so I can be. My real strength is that my delivery, because I come from a family of drivers. My father, 2 brothers still driving. Our father drove for 45 years. As I say, Andrew, when he retired with the professional truck driver healthcare package. He had high blood pressure, sleep apnea, and took his life early. And so, my mission and what I love doing is I want all of them that they can retire healthy and spend some good quality time.
Well, we appreciate all your hard work in the industry, and I thank you again for joining us today.
Right on. Thanks, my friend.
Thanks. Thanks for joining us on this episode of Driven Too Far. Be sure to visit our website at driventofar.com for tons of industry resources.